The Crypto Markets Update is brought to you by KuCoin, the best place to find the next crypto gem. Here's a live look at Bitcoin. The CoinDesk Bitcoin price XVX index is currently at $37,016. Bitcoin giving back some gains, about 3.3%. The CoinDesk Ether price ETX index is at 2,504. ETH also trailing by about 5.4% over the past 24 hours. And the new DFX CoinDesk's DeFi index is at 287, retreating about 4.5%. Joining us now to discuss the crypto markets is Michael Venuto, Chief Investment Officer at ETF asset management firm Toroso Investments. Hello there, Michael. So, the other day we had Fed Chair Jerome Powell saying that the Fed will likely raise rates in March. They'll make a final decision. And we see that the crypto markets are falling. Is that linked to his statement?
I'm sure it has some impact, right? Everybody loves to throw around the term that Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation. And if the Fed is going to start to actually try and deal with inflation, people are going to run a little bit. I think most of the price movements, though, have been more related to unraveling some leverage and tax loss selling and all of that. I don't think that the Fed really has the power to raise rates at the level they need to actually combat inflation. I think it's a political issue that will raise its head very quickly.
Nonetheless, I mean, the Fed has the ability to sell. It has $8 trillion on its balance sheet now. So if it really push come to shove, they could just start dumping a lot of what's on there and boost rates that way, right? I mean, like you could ultimately sop up a lot of that extra liquidity that's going on in the market if it has all this on its balance sheet. If it's been buying it up because of the pandemic.
Yeah, look, the Fed is in a really tough position, right? They have to combat the inflation in some way, but they also don't want the markets to collapse. And crypto, Bitcoin, the prices are kind of foreshadowing what it's going to do to equities. We've seen a little bit of it in equities, but not to the level we've seen in crypto. Now, all that said, this is a short-term correlation. Like over time, crypto is going to trade based on the transformational change it's doing to the world and all the applications that are coming. I mean, that's really where I'm most excited about coming into 2022. I'm seeing the private companies that are really changing the world using blockchain move into the public space, and in block, we're finding some amazing things out there.
So, Michael, as you know, with Bitcoin, it's usually like a price looking for a narrative. And then the dominant narrative has been the Fed, inflation, that's what's driving the market. Are there any other factors that might exist that people are not paying attention to? For example, there's a lot happening with Russia right now, right? We have Russia threatening a crypto ban. We have, threatened invasion of Ukraine. Like, is that playing into the larger market at all, in your opinion?
Yeah, so like I said, the foreshadowing. Crypto trades 24/7, right? And so it reacts to these, call it geopolitical events, faster than the equity markets do. And there's less derivative exposure, less ways that people hedge. So, it's a harbinger of the reaction people have to any risk assets. And then there's a lot of narratives out there. We see the narrative of store value, the narrative of a hedge against inflation, and they all get tested in a hyper loop, if you will, because it's all available all the time, right? One of the big narratives last year was institutional investment, right? Michael Saylor and MicroStrategies, they really started that off, and then everybody said, where'd it go? Well, the interesting thing is, because there was still some uncertainty from the regulators, a lot of it actually went into the picks and axes, right? 30 billion went into private equity or investments into companies doing stuff in the blockchain. And I think I've said this quote before too, but I'm part of the ETF industry, right? That's really my core business. We run the ETF of blockchain stocks, but the ETF industry last year generated about 12 billion in revenue. Bitcoin and Ethereum miners generated over 21 billion. So my 26-year-old industry is generating less than just the miners. Then you add in all the applications, all the things being built here. I mean, I'm doing my deep dive in NFTs right now. I think it's amazing what's changing and what is going to be available and how mortgage origination is going to change, or already has changed at many community banks, where they're ahead of the big money center banks now. So I'm extremely excited. I just don't think it happened the way everybody thought it was. They thought 30 billion was going to go into Bitcoin. It went into the PIX and Axis. And I think that was just a lack of regulatory clarity.
So where are the deals right now? What are you throwing money at? And how can we jump in on this? Is I guess.
Wow, Lawrence, you gave me a nice one here. Look, in block this year, we still have a good bit in the miners, especially what I would call the higher quality ones, the ones that know how to work with traditional finance so that they have the money to survive any of these downturns or these small winters that we've seen. Real excited about Core Scientific. They're literally the largest miner, and they just came public through a SPAC. Great management team. They were really a hosting company that helped other people mine, and now they're getting into the mining themselves. Beyond the miners, super excited about, again, the applications. What some of these community banks like Customers Bank and Signature Bank and Silvergate are doing, not only to take traditional finance and link it to decentralized finance, but also to use the applications, things like what Mike Cagney's doing at Figure, to essentially make it so, a refi or a mortgage can be done in 5 hours instead of 5 weeks. That puts them ahead of Wells Fargo. Like that doesn't happen.
Yeah. You still have Stronghold. I remember you were saying that you were a big fan of what they were doing and companies like that. Has that changed at all?
We've actually added to Stronghold. Dan Weisskopf, who's my co-PM on Block, went to visit the facility last week and see how the power generation is working. We think very highly of what they're doing, but it is still early stages. They've got the energy capacity online. They have to bring more and more of the actual Bitcoin mining online, and they're doing it in a very efficient manner. Great management. We're really excited about what they're doing.
What do you think is hurting its stock, though? Because it's had a tough few months.
Data from the market price, the way that the SPAC unravels. Look, all these things that have come public when the markets are down, when Bitcoin's gone from 69 to 37, they suffer, right?
Michael, very quickly, just 20 seconds. Price analysis on Bitcoin. Is it short term? Where do you see the price going?
I think we got 3 months of headaches, and then I think we continue our path back to over 100 grand, probably closer to 200 over the next 18 months.